How much conditioning is too much? This is a common question, and it's not easy to give a real simple answer because there's just a lot of variables that go into the results of a training process, right? But I'm going to try to be concise here and just give you a series of points. First point, the best way to condition for your sport is by playing your sport competitively. When you're having fun and competing, you're going to push yourself and you're going to get a much stronger conditioning stimulus than anytime you do some miserable conditioning workout. Next point, if you can get a good conditioning stimulus, either playing or replicating your sport twice per week, that should be enough to get you in shape for your sport. And you should not be looking to do more. You should not be looking to do as much as possible. You should be looking to do as little as is necessary. Next point, if you are doing a good amount of conditioning and you feel like you're still not able to sustain performance for games or practice, look at your nutrition. Most likely, more carbs are going to help you. More carbs in general, more carbs before practice or a game, more carbs during a practice or a game. High carb is the way to go for athletes who have high energy demands. I promise you. Okay, with those points out of the way, how much is too much? I'm going to assume that we are talking about higher intensity conditioning, not steady state cardio for long periods of time. Okay. Higher intensity conditioning. And I'm also going to assume that we're talking about a reasonable amount in a session. So if it's just a conditioning workout, 30 minutes or less, or if it's a longer practice, we're assuming that it's not all hard conditioning, but that there's pieces of conditioning within the practice. So with those assumptions, if you are conditioning once per week, then you probably don't have to worry about this messing with your training too much. Right? It's going to create a little bit of fatigue in the days following, but it shouldn't have a big picture, long-term negative influence on your results. Now, if you go to that twice per week number, that's where I'm starting to wonder if this is going to be a problem. Okay? Because you're going to create fatigue for a couple days following the session. Then you're going to do it again, create fatigue for a couple more days. And so now, when are you fresh during the week? Right? Can you perform your other training as well as you want to? Can your body respond to the other training as well as you want to? That's really the big key. So when you go to that twice per week number, I think it becomes a question mark. Now, certainly if you go to 3 times per week or more of hard conditioning, that's where you're making it pretty tough to get better at other things, right? You're making it a lot harder to get stronger, a lot harder to develop explosive abilities at that time because you're sending your body a strong endurance stimulus, and you're also consistently creating fatigue that's going to lower your performance for a couple days. Now, some caveats to that. The conditioning and the negative influence that might cause is only one factor. So there might be cases where people are able to overcome some negative influence from conditioning with other positive factors. For example, if a young athlete is getting drastically stronger, well, then that might overcome the negative influence from conditioning. Or if somebody is like getting consistent linear speed work for the first time, that should stimulate some good adaptation, and that may overcome the negative influence from doing a bunch of conditioning. So athletes that are going to be more likely to have that type of experience is basically going to be your younger athletes or athletes with a really low training age, where they're going to be getting a more dramatic response to the good stimuli, the strength training or the explosive training or the sprinting, and that might outweigh anything negative that happens from conditioning. Now, they could still do better probably, right? Like if you're conditioning 3 days per week and you're somehow still managing to make some athletic progress, you could still be doing better. You could be getting some faster results. But if you're still making progress over time, I mean, that's still a win. That's still good. You don't always have to be optimal in order to make progress. All that being said, team sport athletes are going to have a time of the year where they're going to have to be doing more conditioning than is optimal, right? Whether that's conditioning workouts or it's just practicing and playing their sport a bunch, you're going to have a period where you have to do that. Okay. And that's fine. But this brings up the importance of having an off season or a down season. If you are playing or practicing your sport at a high intensity several days per week all year long, then you are always over conditioning and you are never giving your body an opportunity to maximize athleticism, and you are operating in a suboptimal fashion the entire year, and that's just not a good formula for long-term development. Now, a 13-year-old doing that and going through puberty, can they still improve their vertical and speed a little bit? Yeah, probably. 14-year-old, 15-year-old, they're having growth spurts, all these things, all these factors that go into that, and maybe they can still make some progress, okay? But it's a long ways from optimal. And once you get past puberty, you very well may never get more athletic again. So don't condition more than you need to, have an off season, and eat your friggin' carbs.